Imagine choosing prison over pleasure, being forgotten by the very person you saved, and interpreting dreams that would save millions, while locked away in a dungeon. Picture being so righteous that women cut their own hands just from seeing your face, yet so humble you refuse freedom until your name is cleared. Welcome back to Khaiir Ummah. In the palaces of Egypt, where beauty became a weapon and power played its cruelest games, a Hebrew slave faced the ultimate test of character. Today we'll witness how one man's refusal to compromise his soul in the face of overwhelming temptation set the stage for his incredible rise. This is the story of how choosing the harder path leads to unimaginable triumph, and how Allah's timing turns our darkest moments into our greatest victories.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له شهادة ننجو بها يوم الدين وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أحسن الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي سيدنا ونبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أوصيكم يا عباد الله ونفسي بتقوى الله العظيم وطاعته ولزوم أوامره وكثرة مخافته.
As Yusuf grew in the household of the Aziz, his exceptional character became evident to everyone around him. When he reached maturity, Allah granted him something remarkable that would prepare him for the trials ahead. And when he reached maturity, we gave him judgment and knowledge, and thus we reward the doers of good. The Aziz's wife had been observing Joseph's remarkable character and beauty. She was herself at the peak of beauty, wealth, status, and youth, yet she became consumed with desire for this righteous young man. The Quran captures this dramatic moment of temptation, and she, in whose house he was, sought to seduce him. She closed the doors and said, "Come you." He said, "I seek refuge in Allah. Indeed, He is my master, who has made good my residence. Indeed, wrongdoers will not succeed." One day she carefully prepared her opportunity. She adorned herself in her finest clothes, locked all the doors of the house, and called Joseph to her. According to detailed accounts from the people of the book, Jewish and Christian traditions, not Islamic sources, their conversation revealed Joseph's wisdom even in temptation. When she praised his hair, saying, "O Joseph, how lovely your hair," he replied, "It is the first part of my body to wither." When she admired his eyes, "O Joseph, how fair your eyes," he responded, "They are the first to weep." When she complimented his face, "O Joseph, how handsome your face," he said, "It is but dust." Each response redirected her focus from worldly beauty to spiritual reality. The Quran reveals the intensity of this moment and how Allah protected His chosen servant from falling into sin. And she certainly determined to seduce him, and he would have inclined to her had he not seen the proof of his Lord. And thus it was that we should avert from him evil and immorality. Indeed, he was of our chosen servants. This verse has been interpreted in various ways, but what's clear is that Allah protected Joseph from sin. Joseph's response exemplifies the very character that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ described in an authentic hadith about those whom Allah will shade on the Day of Judgment, 7 whom Allah will shade with His shade on the day when there will be no shade except His, a just ruler, a man who remembers Allah in private and his eyes overflow with tears, a man whose heart is attached to the mosque when he leaves it until he returns to it, 2 men who love each other for Allah's sake, they meet for it and part for it, a man who gives charity and conceals it so that his left hand does not know what his right hand spends, a young man who grew up in the worship of Allah, and a man whom a woman of beauty and position calls, but he says, "Indeed, I fear Allah." Joseph was the living embodiment of that last category. What happened next would become the key evidence in uncovering the truth. They both raced to the door, and she tore his shirt from the back, and they found her husband at the door. Joseph fled toward the door, seeking escape from this situation. The Aziz's wife, desperate to stop him, chased after him and grabbed his shirt from behind, tearing it. Just at that moment, they encountered her husband, the Aziz himself, at the door. Immediately caught in this compromising situation, she tried to turn everything around with a shocking accusation. She said, "What is the recompense of one who intended evil for your wife, but that he be imprisoned, or a painful punishment?" Notice the psychological manipulation. The guilty party immediately accuses the innocent one. But Joseph spoke the simple truth. Joseph said, "It was she who sought to seduce me. Then came the moment that would reveal everything. And a witness from her family testified, "If his shirt is torn from the front, then she has told the truth, and he is of the liars. But if his shirt is torn from the back, then she has lied, and he is of the truthful." The scholars differ about who this witness was, but the logic was simple. If Joseph had been the aggressor, his shirt would be torn from the front as she defended herself. If he was fleeing, it would be torn from behind as she chased him. The evidence spoke for itself, and the truth was immediately clear. So when her husband saw his shirt torn from the back, he said, "Indeed, it is of the women's plan. Indeed, your plan is great." The Aziz immediately understood what had happened. His wife had approached Joseph, been rejected, and then tried to frame him when caught. The Aziz's response shows remarkable wisdom in how he handled this delicate situation. "Joseph, ignore this, and my wife, ask forgiveness for your sin. Indeed, you were of the sinful." He told Joseph to keep the matter private, recognizing that concealing such scandals is often better for everyone involved. He told his wife to seek forgiveness, acknowledging her wrongdoing while understanding the overwhelming temptation she had faced when seeing Joseph's extraordinary character and beauty. But the story didn't end there. Word began to spread among the elite women of the city, and their gossip was cruel. And women in the city said, "The wife of Al-Aziz is seeking to seduce her slave boy. He has impassioned her with love. Indeed, we see her to be in clear error." The women were criticizing the Aziz's wife, saying she had fallen below her station by pursuing a slave. They couldn't understand what could drive a woman of her position to such behavior. When the Aziz's wife heard their scheming criticism, she decided to show them exactly why she had been so tempted. So when she heard of their scheming, she sent for them and prepared for them a banquet, and gave each one of them a knife, and said to Joseph, "Come out before them." She invited all the gossiping women to a banquet, prepared food that required cutting. According to some accounts, citrus fruits, gave each woman a knife, and then had Joseph appear before them in his finest clothes. What happened next would silence their criticism forever. And when they saw him, they greatly admired him, and cut their hands and said, "Perfect is Allah. This is not a man, this is none but a noble angel." The women were so overwhelmed by Joseph's beauty that they lost awareness of everything else, and accidentally cut their own hands with the knives while staring at him. This is scientifically accurate. When our attention is completely captured, we can experience pain suppression. Their exclamation reveals their shock. Quote, "This is not a man, this is none but a noble angel." With her point proven, and the women now understanding her situation, the Aziz's wife made her final, desperate ultimatum. She said, "That is the one about whom you blamed me, and I certainly sought to seduce him, but he firmly refused. And if he will not do what I order him, he will surely be imprisoned and will be of those debased." She admitted her guilt openly, praised Joseph's virtue, but then issued a threat: submit to her desires or face imprisonment and disgrace. The other women, now understanding the temptation, began encouraging Joseph to comply with his mistress. The threats were real, the pressure was mounting. Joseph could see only two paths ahead: give in to their demands, or face the consequences. In his moment of desperation, he turned to the only source of strength that mattered. "My lord, prison is more beloved to me than that to which they invite me, and if you do not avert from me their plan, I might incline toward them, and thus be of the ignorant." Joseph wasn't claiming superhuman strength, he was admitting his human weakness while choosing the harder path. He essentially said, "If you leave me to myself, I have nothing but weakness. I cannot protect myself except through your power." Allah heard this sincere prayer from his chosen servant, so his Lord responded to him and averted from him their plan. Indeed, he is the hearing, the knowing. While others compromised their values for comfort, Joseph chose hardship over moral corruption. While others bend their principles under pressure, he stood firm. The very people who should have protected Joseph now decided his fate. Then it appeared to them, after they had seen the signs, that they should surely imprison him for a time. Joseph got exactly what he prayed for: prison instead of sin. In prison, Joseph would encounter two men whose dreams would unlock secrets about the future. The Quran introduces them, and there entered the prison with him two young men. One of them said, "Indeed, I have seen myself in a dream pressing wine." The other said, "Indeed, I have seen myself carrying upon my head some bread from which the birds were eating. Inform us of its interpretation. Indeed, we see you to be of those who do good." These weren't ordinary prisoners. They were the king's cupbearer and baker, men who had access to the highest levels of power. The king had suspected them of wrongdoing and imprisoned them, but why were they asking an imprisoned slave about their dreams? When they saw Joseph in prison, they were impressed by his appearance, his conduct, his manners, his speech, and his abundant worship. Instead of immediately interpreting their dreams, Joseph used this moment to share the most important truth they would ever hear. He said, "You will not receive food that is provided to you except that I will inform you of its interpretation before it comes to you. That is from what my Lord has taught me. Indeed, I have left the religion of a people who do not believe in Allah, and they, in the hereafter, are disbelievers. And I have followed the religion of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and it was not for us to associate anything with Allah. That is from the favor of Allah upon us and upon the people, but most of the people are not grateful." Joseph essentially told them, "I can interpret any dream you see before it happens, but this ability comes from Allah alone. I follow the faith of my forefathers, pure monotheism, not the idol worship of those who imprisoned me." Then Joseph challenged everything they believed about their gods. "O my two companions of prison, are separate lords better or Allah, the one, the prevailing? You worship not besides him, except mere names you have named them, you and your fathers, for which Allah has sent down no authority. Legislation is not but for Allah. He has commanded that you worship not except him. That is the correct religion, but most of the people do not know. Think about this. An imprisoned slave was teaching free men about the nature of God. Joseph asked them, "Is it better to worship multiple gods who contradict each other, or one God who controls everything? Your idols are just names you've created. Allah never gave you permission to worship them." As for the cupbearer, he saw as if 3 branches from a grapevine had leafed out and ripened clusters of grapes, so he took them and pressed them into the king's cup and gave him to drink. The baker saw on his head 3 baskets of bread, and predatory birds were eating from the top basket. So they related them to him and asked him to interpret them for them, saying, "Indeed, we see you to be of those who do good." After establishing what truly mattered, Joseph finally revealed what their dreams meant. "O two companions of prison, as for one of you, he will give drink to his master of wine, but as for the other, he will be crucified, and the birds will eat from his head. The matter has been decreed about which you both inquire. The cupbearer would be restored to his position, good news. The baker would be executed, devastating news. But Joseph delivered both with the same certainty. The matter has been decreed." Joseph then made what seemed like a simple request to the cupbearer, who would soon be free. And he said to the one whom he knew would go free, "Mention me before your master." But Satan made him forget the mention to his master, and Joseph remained in prison several years. Joseph asked for something completely reasonable. "Tell the king about my case. I'm imprisoned without any crime. This wasn't wrong. Striving for justice doesn't contradict trusting in Allah." But here's where the story takes a turn. The man who owed his life to Joseph's interpretation walked out of prison and erased Joseph from his memory. Joseph remained imprisoned for several years. The Arabic word beda means anywhere from 3 to 9 years. While Joseph had the power to reveal the future through dreams, he couldn't escape his own present circumstances. Think about this. The man who interpreted dreams that would save one life and reveal another's fate was himself forgotten in prison. The man who had access to divine knowledge was stuck in human circumstances. But was this forgetfulness a setback? Or was it part of a greater plan that would elevate Joseph beyond anything he could imagine? Years passed. Joseph remained forgotten in prison, while the cupbearer lived his comfortable life at the palace. But then something happened that would change everything. The king had a dream that terrified him. The king said, "Indeed, I have seen in a dream 7 fat cows being eaten by 7 that were lean, and 7 green spikes of grain and others that were dry. O eminent ones, explain to me my vision, if you should interpret visions." They said, "It is but a mixture of false dreams, and we are not learned in the interpretation of dreams." The The king saw himself standing by a river. 7 fat cows emerged and grazed peacefully. Then 7 thin, weak cows came out and devoured the fat ones. He woke up frightened, fell back asleep, and saw 7 green ears of grain on one stalk, being eaten by 7 thin, dry ears. The most powerful man in Egypt was terrified by dreams he couldn't understand. His wisest advisors, magicians, and counselors all failed him. They dismissed his visions as mixed dreams with no meaning. But when the king's panic spread through the palace, someone finally remembered the forgotten prisoner. But the one who was freed and remembered after a time said, "I will inform you of its interpretation, so send me forth." Think about this moment. The cupbearer had forgotten Joseph for years, but now when the entire kingdom was stumped, he suddenly remembered the slave who had perfectly interpreted his dream. Allah's timing was perfect. Joseph would emerge not as a desperate prisoner, but as the only man with the answer Egypt desperately needed. The cupbearer rushed to the prison with the king's dream. He said, "Joseph, O man of truth, explain to us about 7 fat cows eaten by 7 lean ones, and 7 green spikes of grain and others that were dry, that I may return to the people. Perhaps they will know about you." Some accounts from the people of the book claim the king summoned Joseph directly, but the Quran makes clear the cupbearer went to the prison first. And what Allah has related in his book, the Quran, is correct, not what these people in their texts say. Joseph didn't hesitate. Without asking for his freedom first, without making demands, he immediately provided the interpretation that would save a nation. Joseph said, "You will plant for 7 years consecutively, and what you harvest, leave in its spikes, except a little from which you will eat. Then will come after that 7 difficult years which will consume what you saved for them, except a little from which you will store. Then will come after that a year in which the people will be given rain, and in which they will press olives and grapes." Joseph revealed the future. 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of devastating famine, then a year of recovery. But he didn't just interpret, he provided a complete economic strategy for survival. Store the grain in its husks, ration carefully, prepare for the worst drought anyone had ever seen. The forgotten prisoner had just become the most valuable man in Egypt. When the king heard Joseph's interpretation, he immediately wanted to meet this remarkable man. But Joseph did something that shocked everyone. King said, "Bring him to me." But when the messenger came to him, Joseph said, "Return to your master and ask him what is the case of the women who cut their hands. Indeed, my lord is knowing of their plan." Joseph refused immediate freedom. He wanted his name cleared first. While anyone else would have rushed out of prison, Joseph insisted on justice before liberation. He told the messenger, "Ask the king about those women who cut their hands. My lord knows their scheme." Said the king to the women, "What was your affair when you sought to seduce Joseph?" They said, "Perfect is Allah, we know about him no evil." The wife of Al-Aziz said, "Now the truth has become evident. It was I who sought to seduce him, and indeed, he is of the truthful." Every single woman testified to Joseph's innocence. Then came a powerful declaration, not from the wife, but from Joseph himself. He wanted the truth to be known not just to the court, but especially to the one who once trusted him, Al-Aziz. "That is so. Al-Aziz will know that I did not betray him in his absence, and that Allah does not guide the plan of betrayers. And I do not acquit myself, for indeed the soul is ever inclined to evil, except those upon which my Lord has mercy. Indeed, my Lord is forgiving and merciful." Joseph made it clear he had never betrayed his master's trust, even in private, even when tempted. But in true prophetic humility, he added, "I do not acquit myself. The soul inclines to evil except by the mercy of Allah." If Joseph's unwavering faith through temptation and imprisonment has shown you the power of choosing principle over pleasure, show your support by liking this video. Subscribe and hit the bell because these aren't just ancient tales, they're blueprints for standing firm when the whole world wants you to compromise. Don't miss part 3, The Brothers Return, where the boy thrown into a well becomes the man who saves the very brothers who betrayed him. Until we meet again, may Allah grant us Joseph's strength to choose righteousness over comfort and his trust in divine justice. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.